I hope you all had a good Halloween. Did you have a good Halloween? Did you have a good? I had some cutie patooties come to my door, I tell you. And you know, I had all kinds of folks come to my door this year. I had little babies, like little, and I had toddlers, and I had tweens, and I had some slightly angsty teens. I had young adults, and I even had some adults this year, dressed up in amazing costumes, I might add. And you know, I saw a quote recently by Steve Garnaas-Holmes that I love. He wrote, "Halloween is a day when we get it right. Strangers come to us, beautiful, ugly, odd, or scary, and we accept them all without question. We compliment them, treat them kindly, and give them good things." Let's live like that, shall we? So, one Sunday, about, 9 or 10 years ago-ish, I was at my previous community in Colorado, Mile High. It's the largest community in our movement. And back then, on any given Sunday, there would be over 2,000 people across the 3 services that we would do. It was a lot, just saying. Wonderful, but a lot. And, you know, I was fresh out of graduate school. I was fresh from a program where I focused on peace building and interreligious dialogue and social justice work within faith communities. I was a newly enthusiastic spiritual activist, shall we say, a bit excited. And on this particular Sunday, I don't even remember what I was talking about. I don't remember the theme. I don't remember the title of the talk. But I do remember that what came through the talk, sometimes that happens, you know, Spirit just kind of moves through us ministers when we're up here, hopefully. What came through the talk on that particular day, I made a proclamation, and my proclamation was peace in our lifetime. It was clear as a bell. And you know how sometimes when you say something, you can be in a dinner party or anywhere, and you say something and the energy changes in the room? This was that. With like 1,000 people, the energy changed in the room tangibly. I could feel it when it came out. When you say something that, you know, it has a deep truth to it, it has teeth, it has a grip, it steals you for a moment. And when I proclaimed on that particular Sunday to all those people, peace in our lifetime, I felt angels in the room. I felt the light of angels in the room. As ministers, we're used to this, but this was different. This was one of those moments in my career that I have never forgotten. And I felt in that moment simultaneously that the energy rose up, and then in the next breath, I felt the deepest longing from that community. I felt this deep collective soul recognition right there in Middle America. That particular clarion call, peace in our lifetime. And after the service, you know, we used to stand in, we'd have a line, we'd have a lot of people come and say hello, and it was always such a pleasure to get to connect with people. And we would stand in the lobby, and there were lots and lots of people we would connect with. And there was this one gentleman, I'll just say he was a bit challenging, you know, people like that, just a little rough around the edges and a bit challenging. And I always knew when he stood in the line, he had something to say to me. And I could see him making his way up, and I thought, okay, brace yourself, Shannon. It's all right, it's okay. All good, truly all good. He came up to me and he said to me, I was with you until you proclaimed peace in our lifetime. And he was very, very agitated. And then he kind of stood a bit taller, and he sort of leaned in, and very quietly, he said to me, that was a lot of bravado, and that was a pretty audacious thing for you to say. My proclaiming peace in our lifetime activated something within him. Now, in that moment, I knew that it was his fear. It was his disappointment. I did not take it personally. I want you to know that. And I never do. I want to be really, really clear. I did not take it personally. It was so very clear, though, in the next breath of mine, that would become my new mantra because it was needed. Because if someone would come up to me and say to me personally, I had you until you said that. Yeah, no. Peace in our lifetime. Actually, yes, my friend, yes. Yes. The root words of bravado and audacious are brave, bold, and courage. And so that mantra, it just became my norm. It became my daily affirmation. And what I know is that for all of us, to be here on this planet at this time is a privilege because we get to proclaim peace in our lifetime. We get to proclaim that. When you walk into the sanctuary, we have peace in our lifetime on the big TV screens. As soon as people walk in, now you have a little history about that and where that comes from. This is ours to do. It's such an honor to bravely and courageously affirm peace in our lifetime. And I want to suggest that for all of us. To be bold, to be courageous, to be audacious, to have the bravado to say that. And when you think about the times we're living in now, and I hear there's so much. Can we just name that it's a lot? It's a lot. In human history, all the human histories have been a lot. This is the only human history we've had. So, we don't have anything to compare it to, but it's a lot. And we need to name that. The thing, though, is if we can hold to the knowing that it's a privilege to be here at this time. It is an absolute honor and privilege that shifts it. That sort of pours in the opposite. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's also a privilege because we're all here for it. We have the incredible technology that has brought us humans together in a greater way than ever before. And this technology has given us humans a greater understanding of each other and our oneness from across the globe, across the planet. We can know what's happening on the other side of the world, and we can feel with our hearts compassion or joy. We can send money to help people in other countries than our own. That is new in human history. What a gift we have this technology. We have the science right now that is tracking climate change and giving us ways to course correct if we choose to. We have that knowledge. We have the very first woman of color running for the President of the United States. What an honor to witness that, to watch that, and to be here for that. We have younger generations that see the universal spiritual truths that we're all learning. They sort of came in knowing this stuff. The younger generations will say something and they'll be like, well, duh. Yeah, we're all connected, duh. They've never not had that little computer in their hand where they can connect with people on a very deep level, people that they don't know or live near, but they can connect with them. I was absolutely stunned to read this week that 60 high school seniors who survived the horrific Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting back in 2012 will be voting for the first time. My friends, we are poised to fearlessly and unapologetically proclaim loudly peace in our lifetime. Yes. I am so grateful for that slightly prickly gentleman so many years ago who did his best to admonish me for saying the positive thing out loud. The positive thing out loud. A lot of times we talk about people, it's so great you say the thing out loud, and that's important. I'm inviting all of us to say the positive thing out loud, the loving thing out loud, the affirming thing out loud, until it becomes our normal. Until instead of complaining, which is our normal, affirming and uplifting in the positive, until that becomes our normal. Let us together say the positive thing out loud, unapologetically. We get to change the narrative in our lifetime. We get to change it. Peace in our lifetime can be our living, loving, daily prayer. This is who we are. Audacious, bold, courageous, spiritual light beings. Here for it, here for it, here for it. You know, if you are just joining us online, or maybe you came in a little bit late, or you're watching this later in the week, we have this little blue card, and on the top it says Peace in Our Lifetime. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I just want to give you a moment to, if you haven't received it here in the room, just raise your hand, and a greeter will come by and bring that to you. We have the cards and we have the pens as well. And just keep that next to you. I'm gonna give them some time to give that to you, and I want to give you at home time to grab some paper and to write on the top Peace in Our Lifetime. I like to write it in the first letter of each word in all caps. Just gives it some oomph. And while our greeters are doing this, thank you so much, beloveds. I want to let you know, those of you who may be just joining the talk, earlier in the service, we together engaged in a ritual where we had our beloved Annette Nelson, practitioner from Colorado, read each state. And we lit a candle for each of the 50 states. And I would like to just also energetically bring Puerto Rico into this as well. And we said a prayer for the soul of our nation and all her people in every single state. In every single state. Thank you again, greeters, for doing that. I think we're just about done. And I hope you at home have had the time to get your paper and pen. There is a person by the name of Goy Nasu who wrote, "Ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. Don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down." Ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. Don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. I am just curious if maybe some of the runoff water around you has perhaps gotten inside, maybe? Just maybe just me? In all seriousness, though, there is such wisdom in this. So many of you have shared with me and with Shelley your deep concern and worry and fear and anxiety about this upcoming election. I read a poll just yesterday that 72% of Americans are feeling anxious about this upcoming election. And so I want to give you 2 tangible spiritual tools today that you can use on election night, in the days to come, weeks to come, and you can use them for anything in your life that you have fear or worry or concern about. It's for anything that you are concerned about, and there's an order to these. So the first tool, and just keep your paper near you and handy if you would. The first tool, though, I have been using this in my own daily life whenever I start to feel anxious or fearful about the current state of affairs or anything. And, I say quite often that modern science is catching up with what the ancients taught and knew, right? I think it's very, very important to give credit where credit is due. For example, sleep scientists have shared with us in the last couple of years that if we get at least 10 minutes of sunlight or light in the morning, that helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, and it helps us to sleep better at night. If you get 10 minutes of sunshine or light in the morning, 10 minutes, that's all, you'll sleep better at night. It regulates. Isn't that amazing how our brains work? But the ancients knew this. In ancient India, they had something called a sun salutation, which is a form of yoga in the morning, where they would basically face the sun while doing yoga, or the light in the morning, okay? So this wisdom is ancient. And in the same way, modern science, in addition to sleep scientists, neuroscientists have brought to us a great deal recently about breath work. It seems to be all the rage, actually, breath work. Why? Because it has an incredibly healing impact that when we engage in conscious breathing, that helps regulate our nervous system. Breath work, conscious breath work, helps regulate our nervous system. It helps calm anxiety. It helps calm fears. In particular, there is a certain technique that is actually ancient. It's a form of Vipassana breathing that's used in meditation. And it helps, again, the ancients knew this. It helps with anxiety. So while modern science is teaching this now, it is well documented that this is ancient wisdom. So if you want to energize your body, let's say, you're feeling a little sleepy, you've got to go into a meeting, or you've got a list of to-do things. What you want to do is you want to take a quick inhale and then exhale. That immediately, and if you do it 3 times, it immediately will bring you energy. It's much better than a cup of coffee, really, because the energy is steady and it's your own. So again, if you want to energize, the focus is on an energetic in-breath. And if you want to calm nerves, calm anxiety, the focus is actually the exhale. So it looks like this. If you want to calm yourself or steady yourself, you take in an easy inhale. And then just do one more little at the top, and then focus on the exhale. All the way till your lungs have emptied. I invite you to do that again with me. An easy breath in, and then a second breath at the top. And a slow exhale. All the way. You can even make that sound. And a third time, easy breath in. And then make sure you've got your breath, and slowly make that sound. It's okay, it's just us. That is an ancient form of calming the nerves, of calming the body. And I invite you to do that 3 times wherever you are. If you're feeling anxious, I don't know, maybe Tuesday night, whatever. I invite you to practice that breathing in any circumstance you're in. That's the body's natural way. That's a Vipassana form of healing. When we calm and steady ourselves, we think more clearly. We are able to respond as opposed to react. Try doing that 3 times before you hit send. You won't hit send. You won't. You won't. I invite you into this practice this week just focus on that exhale. That's the focus. Speaking of breath, this past week I had the great honor of attending the celebration of life for a woman who was a member of our community for many, many years, Georgina Grace. Some of you may remember her as Georgina Eggleston. And Vincent, her son, who I had the pleasure to spend some time with some years ago, who's just a light in this world, gave her eulogy. Sorry, I love Georgina very much. I get a little emotional. In his eulogy, he said, "You are not your pain. You are the breath that follows it." You are not your pain. You're the breath that follows it. Isn't that beautiful? So if you are feeling any pain in your life, any pain about anything, I invite you to hold that truth. You are not that pain. You're the breath that follows it. And if you can engage in the Vipassana breathing technique, that will support you through that journey. If you are in pain of any kind, it'll help settle and calm and comfort and center you. You are not your pain. You're the breath that follows it. I invite you to carry that into your week as well. So, Ernest Holmes said, "Fear is faith misplaced." Isn't that beautiful? Fear is faith misplaced. I want to give you a moment now to grab your paper and your pen. And I'd like you to take just a quick moment, let this be easy, and just consider in your mind's eye what fear or anxiety you may be having around the election, or it may be around something completely different. And just, without giving it any power, just name it silently in your mind. Just let your mind name it. I say all the time, we name it to transcend it. So just name whatever it is that you are feeling fear around. We understand in our metaphysical teaching that what we focus on increases. And so now, we're going to change our focus. We are going to participate in the peace process, peace in our lifetime. We're going to transform our fear or anxiety, whatever it was that you just named in your mind, by utilizing a time-tested spiritual tool, an affirmation, also known as a prayer. And it can be a 2-sentence, 1-sentence prayer that is transforming that fear to faith. So the way we do this, and my Beyond Limits students know this now well, I believe, we pour in the opposite of that fear you just silently named. So whatever it is that you just said in your mind, and I know if you're new to this, this might feel wacky. Stick with me. Stick with me. Pour in the opposite, the spiritual truth. Whatever that fear was that you silently named, what would the opposite be? It may look like, I am surrounded by the strength of spirit this day and always. It may look like, I know that the divine power of love is protecting our democracy. It may look like, I affirm peace now and in the days to come, knowing grace is at work in all of this. Do you see how that is completely different? How you've just flipped it? So whatever your fear was that you just named, I invite you to name the opposite, to just flip it, turn it on its head. There are some prompts that we have that are just very, very simple. I am, and then follow it with, I am surrounded by love, or whatever that is for you. Or you can use I know I know the truth is that God is in this election, Spirit is at work, or I affirm peace in my heart and peace in our lifetime, whatever that is for you. Just write for yourself, create for yourself on your card here and at home. And some of you are old pros at this, but I also know some of you might have walked in here for the very first time. This is going to be your affirmation, your prayer that you can tangibly hold and look at when things get scary or difficult. A reminder of the spiritual truth of this moment. So just take a moment and write down a couple of sentences, and they're affirmative sentences, they're positive, they're powerful, they're personal. I am, and you can do all three or you can just do one. Go ahead and just write that now. If you need a pen, raise your hand and we'll make sure. Okay, my beloved greeters, would you be so kind as to jump up and grab a pen? We've got 2 folks here, thank you. Just create for yourself the reminder that you know will help you later. I am filled with the love of the divine. I know the love of divine is in every single state. I affirm love in action. Whatever that is for you, just write that down. Doesn't have to be hard, very simple. So just take a few minutes. This is your anchor. This is something you're going to take with you. Put it on your coffee table, in front of the TV, or on your fridge or bathroom mirror, or tape it to your dashboard if you commute long distances. I'll give you another minute or two. Be bold, be courageous, be audacious. So just another minute. And no, you can come back to this. You can add to it if you want. If something comes to you, add to it. Write it on the back, whatever it is. Create a new one. My suggestion is you do the Vipassana breath first. Will you join me? Gentle inhale. And then making sure you've got the air, and then slow exhale. Now read your prayer to yourself silently. Your affirmation/prayer. This, my loves, is how we achieve peace in our lifetime. We focus on our inner self in every way that we can, and we affirm the spiritual truth. As the Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield wrote, "Let your vote become your prayer." As Reverend and Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock said, "A vote is a prayer for the kind of world we desire for ourselves and for our children." So, if you haven't yet voted, I would be remiss if I didn't say this, please do so. Please, please, please do so. And reach out to anyone that you can think of, anyone that you know who may need assistance with filling out or mailing their ballot, or getting to a voting poll if you live in a state that does it that way. We're here for this. We're here for this. We are here for this. So, first we breathe, then look at your card and affirm spiritual truth of the situation, which will always be loving, by the way. And please remember to keep your focus on the Spirit, on Spirit that woke us up this morning, on love that brought us here this day. My friends, the truth is, we are a good and decent people. The truth is, we are here for it. Our ancestors are singing us forward as we breathe through these next few days and affirm peace in our lifetime.